members forum list of Barbara's names. I didn't like to go visit the treasurer.
You're right.
Doug calls your name, you can step up to the microphone and state your service address, your name, and parliament 5 minutes, please.
Shall we begin?
Go ahead, sir.
Deborah Gannell.
Deborah Gannell, 2143 Chatsworth Drive, Navarre, Florida. Hi, remember me? Last year, or earlier this past year, I should say, while I was sitting on that board, we had a meeting in that room over there. And there were 3 of you sitting up there on that board right now who did not agree with what the majority of the directors were doing and stormed out of that meeting. You determined that what we were doing was wrong. And later, about a month and a half later, you removed me from that board because you did not agree with the actions that we had taken. At least the actions we took, we were doing a direct hire of someone who had the qualifications for the position.
Why don't you explain what went on? I don't know.
We had a personnel meeting, and I can't go into the details because it was a personnel meeting.
Yeah, the back door deal with them too.
And in that meeting, 3 of the directors sitting up there right now, the president, vice president, and one of the other members, stormed out of that personnel meeting because we had made a personnel decision in a majority, and they didn't agree with it. And we had agreed to do a direct hire by virtue of a majority vote to do so. But that direct hire was somebody who was qualified for the position that we were hiring him for. But you deemed that all wrong, and you voted to remove 2 members, 2 directors from that board for what we did back then. If it was wrong then, it's wrong now. And it's even more so wrong now. You have done a direct hire of someone who has no qualifications.
And how much did that legal suit cost us, what you did?
One meeting.
I just got to say that we have, as membership, the right to ask those people who took action that was deemed wrong back then and is wrong now, we'd accept your letters of resignation. Because if we were deemed to be removed back then for those actions, you should be removed for those actions now. Thank you very much.
Kevin Lanier.
Hello, Kevin Lanier, 2726 Deerfield Drive. Mr. Lynchard has taken a lot of what I had to say out of what I was going to say about this budget process. But to me, when you say proposed, whether you can split a hair legally with an opinion, which is not a court determination, but just a legal opinion, that preliminary means preliminary. It means not approved, it means this is what we are proposing to the membership at the membership's meeting. Now, if it hadn't been done that way for 10 years, that's not the fault of the employees, that's not a fault of the membership, that's a failure of the board to operate under the bylaws that they agreed to uphold and operate this water department. So, I contend that the vote tonight on the budget is an illegitimate vote, it does not follow the bylaws, and as such should be nullified, and that the new board, when it is seated, should then review the budget and take care of the situation which I've created. Thank you.
I'd just like to say that what we made a motion to do is to approve the budget until the January meeting. It's obviously going to come back up for discussion on that agenda. So
Janie Neer, did I do right with that name?
Lanier, L-A-N-I-E-R.
No, I'm Jean Kinnear.
Oh, Lanier. I thought he was asking.
Spelled almost the same.
I'm sorry if I mangled it.
Well, I've been in this area and I live in Holley by the Sea at 2744 Sherwood Drive, Navarre. And I won't even be here tonight really because I didn't want to, but actually my civic duty and as a voter in this community, I felt it important for me to come and speak and actually tag on to what the First Lady said, that it was really wrong and it was an insult to our value system and the democracy of the voters and the whole country that Rob Williamson was appointed without other people, without the offering of the contract to run the utility, with the position being advertised as it should have been. So basically, I agree that some of you board members should actually resign. If you've been on there 3 years or longer, you actually should just go. I don't know why you would even want to be on there any longer than 3 years with families, with jobs. You're all young. It looks like you're not retired people. I don't know why you would really want to be sticking around as volunteers to manage a whole organization like the water department. This is not some easy little simple thing. You have to have goals, you have to have economic people involved, you have to have the technology, experts, experts in their field, and really to sit and think that a board would make approval over economic decisions is kind of unconscionable to me to think, how would you be able to know unless Paul Gardner was the one who did all the work? And I think he's maybe the engineer in this whole system. Or general manager, well, and some other people are engineers, and I think, but anyway, my point is that I do know that President Boulay does know Rob Williamson personally because he wrote an article about how good he is. He wrote an article before the August election for the County Commissioner District 4, and it was publicized how good of a commissioner he was. And I just hope and pray that this was not a conflict of interest in appointing him because
Sit down. Why are you so mad you want Rob's job?
Please,
I'm sorry, but I hope there is no conflict
somebody
of
else has the floor,
interest
so
in
please
this.
give her respect. Thank you.
And I understand now he's going to be CEO and not general manager, because it does say that he'll have 2 years to fulfill this job. However, my thing is, after 2 years, this job should be publicized. If it's not going to be publicized now, and him rescinding his position, and a lot of board members just leaving, because board is out of control. You don't even need 7 members on it. For goodness sakes, 5 would be enough. However, I'm saying that we need to post the position for somebody else to be allowed to take it, not after 2 years to automatically continue to have Rob Williamson, because he's part of the company now, he's part of the organization, he's automatically in. That is really wrong. We do not know his qualifications, we do not know what he will actually do. What goals do you have as a water department to get rid of all the waste and the sewage and clean up the sound? Who are you going to hire for all that? You can't ask Rob Williamson because he doesn't know. You have to ask these people, and they should vote. Vote on the new employee, including the board. Let's make it fair. We do not want to be undermined as a community here with going against the democracy and the moral values that we uphold as citizens of the United States. And this basically, the state of Florida could even step in. The state of Florida could step in and put this hauling of our water system under a direct order to go by the bylaws and do what needs to be done. Actually, you have to realize that. You're wanting to do a good job, but sometimes you're just way beyond it. It's just way beyond the capabilities of a board. Okay, we need to get these young people involved, all the engineers, the people voting who really know what's going on with what.
Thank you, ma'am.
William Lake?
How you do? My name is William Lake. I live at 3056 Saffronia Shores Road. I've lived in Navarre for probably since when I moved down to live with my aunts. I'm well aware of the situation that's been going on here. I'm not happy with it. I don't like it when politics turn dirty, especially when they affect the water that I drink. One of the words that the board needs to learn about is the word called malfeasance. It was first used in 1663. Its definition is wrongdoing or misconduct, especially by a public official. The law definition of it is illegal or dishonest activity, especially by a public official or a corporation. When you look at the thesaurus definitions for this, you come up with things like bad faith, up to no good, bent, crooked, deceptive, designing, devious, dubious, false, finagling, fraudulent, perjure, shabby, shabbiness. This is a good one right here, weasel or weasel. Tonight, and you didn't even know your bylaws concerning the budget. If you'd have spent as much time working on the budget as you did as putting a financial pillow underneath Rob Williamson's butt, you might have had a budget for this evening in here. The voters voted over 60% to kick him out of office.
As a
But
county
yet-
commissioner, not as a.
As county commissioner, but no one voted to put him in as CEO of the water. If you on this board, the board voted, if you on this board supported his political candidacy, or you've done business dealings with him, or you're friends with him, you should have abstained from voting as a conflict of interest. The job was put up with no job description. The job was put up with no job call whatsoever. You just all of a sudden decided you're going to ram this down our throats. It's not going to work that way. So, I mean, enjoy it right now. But malfeasance, even though you are a 501c3 or some corporation like that, the state of Florida, 501c12, the state of Florida still has laws on malfeasance. And this is a direct conflict of interest. If the state of Florida steps in here, who knows? Maybe the county will take over the water board. I'm sure they would love to get their hands on a golf course and whatever surplus budget you have and roll it into their general funds. So you've opened this door, you've created this mess. My suggestion is you try and find some way to fix it. Thank you.
I'd like to respond. The seven of us that sit up here, we are volunteer board of directors. We were elected by the membership. Every one of us was elected. None of us up here were appointed to the board.
Straw poll we had. That straw poll about a year ago.
It was just this past summer, and we held an election, a straw poll election, to appoint the vacant seats that were empty. We could have appointed those seats ourselves, picked and choose whoever we wanted to sit on that board, and instead, I've got the floor now. Okay? Instead of appointing those members to those seats, we held a straw poll. We can't hold an election in the middle of the year, but we held a straw poll and let the members decide. We let people apply, and we appointed based on the majority of the members' vote on that. So everyone was elected to this board by the membership. We make decisions that we believe are in the best interest of this board. And I know there's a lot of speculation out there that we're all friends and buddies and have business dealings with Rob Williamson. That's absolutely not true. None of us have any business dealings. Whether or not we were were in favor of his reelection in his campaign is a totally different issue. That has nothing to do with whether or not he's qualified to sit in that seat right there as
What are the
CEO.
qualifications?
I will tell you that we came up with a list of qualifications for a CEO position. They have nothing to do with,
Let's see them. But where are they?
How many
They should be
candidates do you
here
think
right
could
now
do
on
that?
that screen.
Okay.
let me finish.
If your name is on the list, you're more than happy to
The
come up and talk at the
qualifications
microphone,
that
right?
we came up with for that position had nothing to do with the ability to manage the sewer plant or the water system. We have staff and employees at Holley Navarre Water System with years and years of experience in doing just that. We wanted a CEO that could oversee the whole operation, that could pursue alternate funding. There is money in state budgets every year that we have, as a water system, have not aggressively gone after, and that's what we're looking for, is someone that can manage the large projects. Mr. Williamson, as county commissioner, oversaw the entire county budget. I would like Rob to actually speak for himself as far as his qualifications, because I would bet that most everyone in this room do not know all of Rob's qualifications going into this job and why we chose him for that position.
See his resume?
I'd like to answer, I'd like to ask a question, Mr. Miller,
Yes.
can I see that list?
You were in the emails that went back and forth of the qualifications that we were looking for.
Are those the ones we use?
We used the majority of those.
If you choose.
That's up to you. You
Okay.
published other things
Thank you.
that you shouldn't have.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
you said they come to the microphone.
Yes, your name was on the list. That's what I'm saying. There was a list in front of the door that members have to fill out.
Oh, I didn't see it, I didn't get on it.
Okay, well, we have to go what's on the list first, sir. And if there's time, we would be more happy to have you speak.
Okay, well, you just said come to the mic, so I guess.
Carmen Reynolds.
Carmen Reynolds, 9621 Sunnybrook Drive, here in Navarre. The undersigned of this letter are all members and users of the services of the Holley Navarre water system. It is in our best interest to pay attention to the policies and practices of this organization, which not only supplies our drinking water, our sewer collection, treatment, and disposal services. In recent weeks and months, the Board of Directors has held one or more closed meetings. Actions taken during these meetings could affect the operation of our membership-owned utility as well as its financial well-being. To date, the membership has been provided with limited information about the decisions considered and made in those closed meetings. Therefore, in order to better understand the policies and procedures of the water system, as well as the decisions that have apparently been agreed upon, we request the following documents that we believe should be available to members of our utility. And I will provide a copy of this letter for your personnel. Number one, all policies and procedures, particularly anything that would provide legal authorization to the board to hold closed meetings, including but not limited to the redaction of information in those transcripts. Two, the board's conflict of interest policy and any disclosure statements that have been signed by the board and senior staff members for the past 5 years. Three, the job description of the board that the board developed for the new position of CEO for the Holley Navarre Water System. Please include the date that the job description was finalized. Four, the resume for Rob Williamson and any other candidates that were considered for the CEO position. Five, the signed employment contract between the board and Mr. Williamson. Six, any documents that outline Mr. Williamson's position and duties for the Fairpoint Regional Utility System. Seven, the request for proposals for the solicitation of legal counsel and the resulting applications for the position. We will be happy to pick up these documents at the Holley Navarre Water System office when they become available, or you may mail them to the following address. Care of Linda Young, P.O. Box 5124, Navarre, Florida 32566. Thank you in advance for your cooperation and assistance. Signed, Carmen Reynolds, Linda Young, Anna Hackney, and various other members that are in this room tonight. Copies of this letter will be sent to Rick Swearingen, Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Santa Rosa County Board of County Commissioners, Dan Shebler, the Santa Rosa County Administrator, Mr. Roy Andrews, the Santa Rosa County Attorney, and finally, William Evans, Office of the State Attorney, Milton, Florida. Thank you.
William MacArthur.
I'd like to see my time with the big fella over there at Holley Hall.
Thank you, sir, for ceding your time to me. My name is Harlan Hall, 7712 Manatee Street, Navarre, Florida, 32566. I have a couple questions. First one, what if Rob would have won the re-election? I mean, who would you have hired? Did you have a backup? So it was pretty much created for Mr. Williams.
The position was created back in February when we did the organizational chart that the board approved. And Paul was retiring in December, and that was known at that time.
Okay.
We had personnel chair, Mr. Lyncher at the time, developed information on it. And some things that happened in the middle of the year, and he got kicked down the road, and Paul retired December 21st, was Paul's last day on our water system. There's, leadership here, so therefore, a position had to be filled.
Okay. But in the event you would have won re-election, you didn't have another person to put in that spot.
Well, that was known in August. We didn't create the hire and actually hire him until the end of November.
Okay.
For a week after.
The other thing I'd like to speak to is your bylaws. I've been involved, please don't boo, with the unions for over 30 years. Manager for the Carpenters Union. Very familiar with Robert's Rules of Order. Also with running organizations by bylaws. And it doesn't matter what organization it is, whether it's a union, a water board, any of it, the bylaws are the bylaws. And bylaws, when they say shall, they mean shall. They don't mean, well, we might, or we might think about doing it that way. They mean shall. And when that says you shall have your proposed budget at your annual meeting, it means you shall have it there. It doesn't mean we'll have the approved budget there. It means the proposed budget in front of the membership. And I believe that you stepped outside your bylaws. I don't believe that. I know you did. And I believe you're going to be called to task on it. And why you would do that when the attorney was trying to lead you to not do it, but you did it anyway. I don't understand that. And like I say, I've sat on boards my entire life. Budgets equal to what you guys are dealing with here. And anytime we did any hiring, we put it out on the street and we hired professional headhunters to vet them. That way, there was no conflict. They couldn't come back on us for conflict. We were insulated. And why you guys would put yourselves out there this far for potential lawsuits is beyond me. You know, I know you're falling back that I'm a volunteer to this. You still have fiduciary responsibility to this, whether you're a volunteer or a paid employee. And part of your fiduciary responsibility is following the bylaws. And just because in the past something happened against the bylaws does not permit it to be legal today. If I got away with murder once, the second time I killed somebody and got caught, I can't say, well, I got away with it last time. I mean, come on. It just amazes me. This absolutely reeks of backdoor politics. There's been a lot of discussion about this on FaceTime, I'm sure, or Facebook, and I've been a part of that. And I have nothing against you, Mr. Williams. I don't even know you. This isn't about you, it's about the actions that they did. It's not a personal attack on you at all, because I don't know you. What I know about you is what I read when you ran for county commission, and what I've seen that you did as a county commission. Okay, that's all I know. So this isn't out of spite or hatred or wanting your job. I'm retired. I don't want your job. I watch my kids' dogs every day. That's my job. But it's amazing to me that you guys are doing things like this and behind closed doors. What would have been wrong with putting this job out on the street and hiring a company to do the vetting? Is there anything wrong with that, Mr. Goulet?
Normally CEOs are hired blindly because the fact that if people know that they're hiring or looking for another job, they usually lose the job they're at. I'm sure Brad Whitney.
Hold on.
I'm sure other things like Brad Whitney and things like that, when they go look for a CEO and they look for another company, and they probably don't put it out on the street. Normally the board of directors find somebody up, make them an offer, and then they go from there, then they do a press release.
Well,
What I'm saying.
that may be the way you do it. But, I mean, that is the way you did it, let's face it. But the thing is why didn't you get a list of candidates and have them go in front of some professional headhunters and take their feedback so it insulates you from this, what appears to be strictly backdoor politics. You could have said, hey, we put it out to ABC Professional Group. This was, Mr. Williams was recommended by them as the highest qualified candidate, and we hired you. And then everybody in this room wouldn't be able to wonder what you gained by doing this. But that's what the wonder is out here. Is what was the kickbacks to do this? Well, I'm just saying, but that's what's the stigma out there.
I know, I'm a couple weeks ago. I never been involved with this. I've never had any business.
Neither have I.
I mean, but to sit here and just get assaulted, called a weasel, and a crook.
Did you vote?
You learned it.
Well, be out here. Be out here. So we can have this back. But I know somebody did. And I'm furious because it's no respect. You know,
Did you vote for him?
stop asking questions.
Mr. Barr?
But seriously, I've never had any business with them. I saw an application, I liked what I saw the letters of recommendation, and they were superb.
Anything else? I didn't call you.
I know, but we called the weasel.
I never said one thing about any of you personally.
He didn't call you a weasel. He didn't call you a weasel.
I knew you did. I said the name was referred to as weasel.
Okay, the only thing I said has been actually pretty respectful.
Oh, absolutely, I had no issue with it.
I was just trying to say you had an opportunity to insulate yourself from this, but you chose to do it in a different manner. And it, unfortunately, The way people take it, the way I take it, is it was a backdoor opportunity, a backdoor done. Yeah, so why can't, well, I'm just saying, that's the way it comes across. You could have handled it 1,000 times better. Hopefully, in the future, when you guys decide to do these direct hire positions, that you, I hope you take a lesson from what you did this time. And, because you got a lot of members out there that are very, very upset. And they're the guys that are paying for this. You know? If I had that many people upset at me, and I have had, I was over, at one time I was over 33,000 carpenters in the Pacific Northwest. And I'll tell you, I didn't keep 33,000 of them happy. However, when I had a substantial amount of them pissed, I went out there and found out why, and I did corrective actions to eliminate the thorn in their ass. You know, and I think you guys need to look deep long at this and see if it's really what you want to continue to do. I have nothing wrong with him having the positions, but you might want to backtrack and put it out there, get a few more candidates, just to make it look.
I'd like to address your concern regarding the bylaws. The bylaws and the articles of incorporation that we operate under were written in 1970. This was quite a different water system in 1970. Very few customers, smaller budgets. You questioned our fiduciary relationship to our members, and I believe that as a board, if we are holding our fiduciary relationship, it is not wise to delay approving a budget until after the first of the year. I believe the staff needs a budget to operate under on January 1, not on whenever our meeting is January 15th. They're operating for the first 2 weeks of the year without a budget. That's not fiscally responsible for us to delay that. So there was no ulterior motives on that other than just to give them a budget to work with from January 1. We did, as part of our motion, say that it would be revisited at the annual meeting. So I do want to clear that up. The bylaws and articles of incorporation are very difficult, practically impossible to change. We've looked at it before. We've gotten legal opinions from multiple attorneys. We're kind of stuck with what we got, and we have to try to work with that. So,
well, my suggestion then, if I may respond to what you just said. The people you're talking about are your direct employees, correct? The money for the direct employees for 2 weeks.
Right. Well, not just that, the entire budget, yes.
And the operating expenses for 2 weeks. We're not talking for a year. We're talking from January 1 to the meeting, and you're saying that's 2 weeks. I don't know. I'm going by what you're telling me. If you're so worried about that 2 week gap, and you know the number, or you better, somebody should, why didn't you approve a budget for that 2 weeks, a stopgap, and then propose the entire budget at the annual meeting like you're supposed to according to your bylaws? And because your bylaws are old,
the staff has historically worked on the next year's budget this time of year and presented it to the board for approval. So the fact that there's a line in the bylaws, that just was brought up tonight by Mr. Lynch.
okay, it doesn't matter that they're written in 1971 or 1951 or 1776. They are the bylaws of this body until this body either changes them or is absolved. And you talk about running on old bylaws. I have had I've ran, local meetings where their bylaws were written in the 40s, and we still went by them, because they're the law of the land until they're changed. So,
Mike Kennedy, thanks for your patience.
Mike Kennedy, 2735 Pebble Beach Drive. This is to, I guess, add possibly some of the facts to what the gentleman before me was just talking about. So I was looking through the meeting transcripts on the meeting minutes. So starting in February, Mr. Goulet, you actually referenced the possible management change. And then also in these transcripts, Mr. Miller, you state in this that the job should be posted and offered to the people within and without the organization to make sure that the most qualified person is put into that job.
What job was that for?
That was on the February 20th meeting minutes right
What
there.
position?
You guys were referencing the CEO position. You guys referenced the CEO and the CFO position in that meeting minutes. Now, nothing is talked about, and then in your March transcripts, Mr. Coffey referenced item 7, to send out an RFP to employee agents to vet a CFO or COO. And Mr. Goulet, you were actually designated as the chairperson of this new committee to review this RFP for a CFO and a CO. However, no action is taken. As a matter of fact, it's not until we get to July, that we actually have a motion to approve an RFP for a search company to find a CFO. However, that's tabled. It's also tabled in August. It's also tabled in September. It's also tabled in October. However, come November, Mr. Williamson is named CEO. So from February to November, this board had 9 months to vet qualified candidates for a position. So my question to you is this: do you believe that as a board, you did your due diligence in properly representing the members of Holley Water System?
No, I don't think we did.
There you go. My fellow members, do you think this board represented you?
No.
There's the answer.
Do you have anything else, sir? I mean, we're not politicking up here at the podium. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I do. Are you guys ready for change?
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.